G'day everyone, welcome back to Grandma's Handbag. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoy this episode as well. Really glad to have you back with us. I'll get back into that clip in a second. Grandma's little helper. First things off here is a festive IPA. Black edition. You wouldn't believe it, would you? Look at that for an IPA, but we have a dark beer, a dark IPA, 5.9%. And it actually takes some getting used to. A lot of hops in there. It's a New Zealand beer, Moa Brewing Co. And yeah, they're very feisty with their hops. That's what I find. It's just a difficult one to get used to. They never seem to smoothly meld. So it's always an interesting drink, but sometimes a challenging one. I'll have to give it another go just to try. Yeah. Nice roasted malt though. Very nice. Alright, I got a stack of records in the handbag that I want to get into and get out to you guys. A little bit of housekeeping first. I've been ridiculously busy with work stuff lately, and I never thought I'd say that, to be honest, but so I do apologise if I haven't seen as many of your videos and commented as I would like. I really want to. I'm just getting pressed like crazy. I basically stepped up into a new role and finding my feet, and it is tough, but we'll get there. We'll get there, just like we were with this bag. And yeah, okay. So first things first, we saw that was some footage of Purpleen. Some of you might remember an Australian band who had a reissue of their records and actually reformed to play a few shows. So that was the record, their self-titled album from 2004, engineered by Steve Albini. So I got to see them in store, and it's a fantastic little store called Beat Disc Records, and I think maybe once every 3 or 4 weeks they have a Thursday or a Friday night show in there, so you could see all the records on the walls. And they just push all the shelving out into a laneway, pretty safe though, mind you, and then the band play right in front of where the counters are, and you'd be lucky if you can get 60 or 70 people sitting or standing watching. And I got some footage right up the front. So of course I took the record along and managed to get it signed by all 4 members as well, and got to have a chat with them, which was really nice. A long-held dream of mine to see them play live, and it was fantastic. I just hope they don't spend as long away from there. It was really interesting. I don't know if you saw that footage. If you go back and watch, right at the start is you can see a sort of young head just in front, and it was actually the guitarist on the far left, bottom left, daughter, and they split up 2 weeks before she was born, I believe, or maybe it was 2 weeks after. Anyway, that was the first time she'd ever seen her dad play, so it was very nice, very touching thing to see. Anyway, speaking of bands of yore, Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs, the story of Bonnie and Clyde. I mean, look at that cover. How could you not pick that up? I absolutely had to go with that. You've got the Gatling gun there, you know, some kind of Beverly Hillbilly style, you know, car and chase going on there. So the story of Bonnie and Clyde, very cool. This is a 70s reissue, originally 68, I believe. So there's the Columbia 70s label. I'm sure you've seen that before. I think originally it was a 2i Columbia. So, but this appears to be a US press. You know, sort of fairly thickish tip-on sleeve. Very nice stuff. And yeah, we're just talking bluegrass, pure and simple. Interestingly, Tom T. Hall has written quite a few of the Bonnie and Clyde theme songs on here. Some of the instrumentals definitely are all Flatt and Scruggs. And you get a 14-year-old Randy Scruggs turning up on guitar there. Probably one of his earliest appearances, I imagine, with his dad. So there you go, Flatt and Scruggs. That one definitely channeling the inner Headley, as I tend to say now. Alright, so the next few are an interesting little subset of Australian 1980s vinyl. Now, it's been kind of interesting to see. This first one, Jim Croce, or I always forget, Ellie has told me, Lisa, but I'm forgetting. I'm just going to go with Jim Croce, Down the Highway. Very interesting. This is a 1988 Australian record press. So this would have been one of the last major label pressings, I would say, about 88 to 89. After that, I think they would have been pressed outside of Australia. So just very interesting to see. We've got Virgin label and Axis. Axis is a budget, kind of like a music for pleasure label. So yeah, had to grab that. Was nice and cheap at $1 or $2. Very nice condition. And interestingly, it's got a barcode, so you don't find a lot of Australian records with barcodes on them. Put simply because Australia was a late adopter to barcodes, and we sort of stopped pressing not long after that. Case in point, found this lovely double album, Aretha Franklin, Amazing Grace. This is an Australian repress from 1986, and as you can see, elsewhere in the world there was space for the barcode, but Australia, no barcode. Very interesting stuff. Anyway, a double album recorded live at the Baptist Church, and we're straight into gospel territory here. Great picture of Aretha on the back there and the front, with her ministry. I think her father makes an appearance on here as well. And yeah, great stuff. Very, very surprised to see this got a reissue in Australia, of all places, in the 80s. But look, happy enough to go with it. It's not very thick vinyl, but overall the condition, pretty good, pretty bloody good. I think this was $6 or $8, so yeah, that's got to come home with me for that price. Alright, on the same dig, which is kind of at a vintage furniture store, I guess you could say. Not quite antiques, but they deal in those as well. Nat Young's The History of Australian Surfing. It's got all the, you know, stereotypes of Australian surfing in there. And then on the back we've got we've got sort of anywhere up to 18 tracks, so it's quite packed, full of songs. So Bombora by the Atlantics, Murphy the Surfy, the Joy Boys, plenty of earlier Aussie surf songs, and then they get some interesting ones. The Loved One by the Loved Ones, Friday on My Mind by the Easy Beats, and The Real Thing by Russell Morris, which is what I'm really on here for. I'll have to needle drop The Real Thing one day. If you don't know it, it is a psychedelic monster of a song. Absolutely insane. And then you get songs by Tamam Shud, Tully with Sea of Joy, and Morning of the Earth from the soundtrack as well. Very, very interesting stuff indeed. So Nat Young was a famous early Australian surfer, and obviously was asked to curate this record for a major label, Columbia, or CBS, sorry. So there's that Sunburst CBS label. A very, very interesting find. A little piece of local history, if anything. Actually, speaking of local history, I was able to pick this up the other day. How good is that? I mean, Dizzy Gillespie, Sydney International Music Festival, right in my hometown. Someone obviously loved this enough to, you know, put it in a beautiful, you know, maybe a very dated frame, but still, you know. That's coming straight home to the man cave for $10. I'm very, very happy with that. Still can't date the exact year this was from. I'm thinking late 70s or 1980, but I can't get any definitive answer on that. Possibly mid-70s. But yeah, local stuff. There you go. One more on the local stuff. This is a classic Australian compilation rocker, and it's put out by Albert Production, who obviously had AC/DC as their biggest success. So this is in pretty nice condition. Generally these ones sort of got trashed. They were really popular with younger crowds at the time, and suffered accordingly. But this is in gorgeous nick, as they call it, a blue-roo. You'll see a kangaroo there, which is what you want for all the early AC/DC Australian presses, probably up to 76 or 77. And that's about as close as I'm going to be able to get to a blue-roo AC/DC. Yeah, okay, someone's put their name up there. Thanks, Mike. But high voltage AC/DC, you know, you got Stevie Wright, the Angels, Ted Mulry Gang. You've even got a little bit of Easy Beats on there as well. How can you go too wrong with that? Great, great stuff. Yeah, 4 AC/DC tracks on there. Rocker. There you go. And there's even, oh wow, it's even got the original insert as well, showing the albums available. So there you go. Alright, I got to crack along here. There's quite a lot of stuff I found. This was an interesting dollar find. The Baroque Beatles book. I haven't heard this yet. I only found this the other day. But I'm a sucker for those gold label Electras. And yeah, it's a very interesting premise. It's got all these basically classical songs that are subtitled as Beatles songs. So I'm only assuming that they're going to do classic versions of Beatles songs. I don't know. Has anyone heard this before? If you have, let me know exactly what's happening. Or is it a comedy album or what? It's hard to read from this cover. Very hard. Alright. Along with that, a great score for a double record, $1. Ella Abraca Jobim. Ella Fitzgerald sings the Antonio Carlos Jobim songbook. Great double on the Pablo label, or Pablo Today, I'm not sure. Anyway, a very late outing for Ella Fitzgerald, produced by Norman Granz, who I think ran Verve at one point and was Ella's label manager. But yeah, look, really lovely condition here, and for $1 for the double, that one really stood out. Just proved it was worth digging, which is something Vinyl Boy Trigger may accuse me of not doing too often. So I did in this case, and I feel like it really paid off. So all Jobim songs, and not a bad backing band either. You've got Zoot Sims on there, Clark Terry, Joe Pass is on guitar, among a whole bunch of others, and guys also coming in from Brazil as well. So yeah, very, very happy to see that. And look at that. There's something very warm and touching about that last picture. I really enjoyed that. I don't know why, but very nice. Very, very nice stuff. Speaking of warm and touching, this is just a standard reissue copy of Dusty in Memphis, but this is a long time favourite of mine. It will turn up in my top 100, I'll tell you that. And yeah, a nice version. What can you say about this album? There's just something of, there's a little sensuality, or more than a little sensuality, but I mean, there's this real vulnerability, but somehow it smoulders in there. There's Dusty's arrangements just really, really lovely. They sort of draw you in with her feeling. You know, she holds back, but she gives just enough to reel you right in. Really, really beautiful album. Very happy to have it. And it's so nice reading the good old style liner notes there that sort of gave me a new insight into the album, where they're saying previously she'd walk straight in and have everything arranged for her and she'd just do her vocal and leave. But here they were giving her the chance to go in, work through the arrangements, help with the arrangements, you know, run through a few passes and see what felt right. And this was kind of right out of her comfort zone, and as a result, I think that vulnerability is what sort of comes in and actually is what makes this album just so approachable. I don't know how it works, but so happy to have this one finally. This next one, I'm not so sure about. I need to go and have a listen to this again. It really didn't grab me the first time round. We got Morris Debank with Inner Thought Zone. So Morris Debank was the guitarist out of Felt, along with Lawrence Hayward, one of the two main progenitors of Felt Mark I anyway. And if you know Morris's guitar work, it's very articulate, very, very precise, spare, delicate, like filigree or lace almost. Very, very nice stuff usually, but this one here, almost too within itself, too insular. It didn't grab me as it is. I need to put it on again and sort of really get a feel for where it's coming from, but not an easy one to get. But on that same quiet zone, Saint Etienne, Sound of Water. I've had this on CD since it came out, and this has always been a quiet favourite of mine. Really, really nice. This is a lovely pressing done at Optimal Media in Germany. Just what you'd expect from Saint Etienne when they finally got to repress the albums themselves. They did it right, and yeah, beautiful album. Ambient pop, very synth based, very light and airy, beautiful stuff. It never raises a sweat or a storm, but it still manages to convey a lot of feeling and emotion in there as well. Done in concert with, I want to say, I always forget the guys that helped with this. I don't think it's Mouse on Mars. Two Rococo Rock, that's who the guys were. So a little bit of a collaboration of sorts with Saint Etienne, but very lovely stuff. And actually really good liner notes here, very miniature, from Simon Reynolds, who has done quite a few good music books of late. Rip It Up, Post-Punk. There's other ones as well. Anyway, we've been listening to, and it's just finished, the bonus disc of Beau Brummel's Bradley's Barn. This is the Run Out Groove Record Store Day 2-disc version from this year. No stores stock this in Australia or locally that I could see. So there was a chance to buy it from the Run Out Groove website. And after getting one of Run Out Groove's records, I've got to say I'm a real fan of their reissues. Everything is just done right. You can see those lovely thick Staunton tip-on sleeves, nice and thick there. I'll pull out the record. They oftentimes do a colour variation. They can go with black as well. Not sure what colour that's meant to be. But they've gone down to the original Warner 7 Arts labels, that olive green stuff. Lacquers are cut at Sam Phillips in Memphis, pressed at the Record Industry in Netherlands. They come in these poly-lined sleeves. Everything's just done right. I don't know why more people can't do this. As for the music, again, actually, I've got to be honest, the jury is out on this. I can hear there's quality in there. The backing band's got people like Kenny Buttrey, David Briggs, who was, closely aligned later on with Neil Young. It's all the signs are there that this should be a great album, and in fact, it's kind of a cult classic. However, it hasn't gelled with me totally yet. And I think the reason why that is that this is kind of their final hurrah before they disbanded for the 60s. So originally they were a San Francisco, beat pop band. And then by 68 they'd kind of retreated all the way out to, I want to say Nashville, the back of Nashville. And literally in this barn here, owned by Owen Bradley, they're recording. And, they left with this album, and it really didn't do much for their career or anything like that. Vaguely country is kind of sounding a bit like the band's music from Big Pink. I don't know if you heard that playing before. But at the same time, what sort of struck me is that country music is roots. This is kind of rootless country in a way. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's all there in sound, but I don't know, it just wasn't something to grab onto. But I actually really look forward to playing it again and again, because I think it's going to come, I just feel like it's going to come to us. Alright, and the last one I have to shout out hugely to Andrew Tales from the Crate. Ever since he put this in his top 100, I've just been chasing it everywhere for a long time. Link Ray, self-titled, from 1971. So, Andrew, what else can I say but thank you for showing this. This to me is right in that wheelhouse of Stone's Exile on Main Street. Little Feat's first album, that kind of down-home roots, country, blues, it's all a stew in there, It sounds like it's playing on someone's back porch, or quite literally in a 3-track chicken shack, as you can sort of see there. But look, what a fantastic album. Plenty of grit, soul, feeling. Look, it's raw, it's rough, rockin'. There's not much that goes wrong in this album. Really, really, really love it. This is a reissue. It's a second press reissue on Future Days by Light in the Attic. So I missed out on the one that had the proper die-cut sleeve, but what are you going to do? I've still got it. Finally got it. So thank you, Andrew, again. If you're a fan of this one, let me know what your thoughts are on it. And if you aren't aware of it, track down a listen. I'll try and put a link below somewhere. Array below. Never mind. You'll really dig it. At least I think you will. Great stuff. All right. that's enough for me, everyone. The bag is done. I'm done. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Look forward to hearing from you. And yeah, sorry if I haven't been around. I want to change that as much as I can, as soon as I can. Thank you, guys. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.